Hello, everyone. This is your host, Christian Flores with Aspiring Generational Wealth. We have Ethan McKinley today. How you doing, Ethan?
Doing just fine. How are you doing, Christian?
Doing good. So tell us about yourself. How
So I'm originally from Odessa, Texas. Grew up playing sports, and I was kind of like that outcast kid. I just didn't really fit into a certain typical sport. Being from Odessa, you would think it's football or baseball, but I ended up playing ice hockey there with a semi-pro team that came in and they had a learn to play session and stuck with it my whole life. And so I moved to Dallas and played junior hockey, which is kind of like it mentors 18 to 21-year-olds to go into college. And so I did that for 4 years. And then now I ended up here in Oklahoma, majoring in psychology as well as playing for the hockey team here.
okay? Why did you choose Oklahoma?
I choose Oklahoma basically because of the presence it brings, not only with academics, how everyone's very on top of things, very motivated to get things done, but also the sports culture here. I've seen like little clips of hockey, the team here, and the biggest rivalry with our league is ironically Oklahoma University versus University of Central Oklahoma. UCO's actually won two national championships since they came into the league, and it's always been rowdy hockey, and so it's kind of like a rodeo style atmosphere when you watch those kind of games, and I wanted to be a part of that, being from down south. And all these rinks I play up in here in Oklahoma, I grew up playing youth hockey, so it was a perfect fit, close to home, and the academic side is just amazing. I was very surprised when I came here. So
That's nice. What I was gonna say, how many games are in a season?
So last season we played 35. With COVID, we I think had like three or four canceled, but I came mid semester, and so I played about 12 to 14 games. I don't know the exact number off the top of my head, but usually we play every weekend, minus like midterms and finals, and it goes from September to April is our season, and so.
So that's tough because you're like right in between like football, and you said it's during the weekend.
Yeah, so we play Friday or Saturday games either here or we travel. But yeah, I've heard a couple of the guys who are a bit older here, like whenever we play home games here, that Saturday morning, that Saturday mid afternoon, all the guys go watch the football games and then jump straight in the car and go to play our game down in either Blazers or Arctic. And so it's pretty unique how the guys can go from being outside watching football to just driving down the street and playing a hockey game, and a competitive hockey game at that too. And so
So, who inspired you as a hockey player?
who inspired me? Honestly, it was the guys who came in. So the team that came into Odessa is called the Odessa Jackalopes. Now it's a junior hockey team, but they used to have semi-pro players. So guys who there was three tiers of professionals: NHL, AHL, and then the third tier is kind of like right now it's ECHL, but it's a mixture of a couple leagues regionally. And so the team came down in around 99-01. And there's one player I connected with immediately, number 4. That's why I wear my number. People think it's Bobby Orr because my actual name's Bobby Ethan McKinley. So they're like, "Oh, you like the Bobby Orr?" I'm like, I like him now, but like I actually picked a number because it was just a random guy I got attached to watching and play and watching him play. And so that's kind of the same motive I have now with how I play and how I go to the rink and see little guys. It's like as much as the NHL, I'm like, it's hard to watch NHL hockey down here as well as any other style of hockey. And so whenever you can see something visually and be in the rink and see it like that carries weight. So that's what inspired me to continue playing hockey and even get into the sport.
Okay. What's the process of like to go professional?
The process is, I like to describe it. So my process with guys on my team right now, it's a dirt road. And so If you're from the Massachusetts, Minnesota's, like the places you think there's hockey, if you're Canadian, like there's kind of a paved road. You play youth hockey till you're 16, then you go to major juniors or junior A in the United States. And then you go to a Division I NCAA school and play college hockey or go to the NHL. That's kind of the paved road. For me and for all guys that right here, with us being down south and then kind of the like melting pot of hockey, like there's a lot of things we got to learn. Like we're the first like big generation of like Texas hockey players, like starting from like mini mites to professionals since the Stars came here in 99. And so now we're at this road of like we need to figure out what different routes are. We can't do the same thing that these guys who grew up on the ice were doing, but we can bring in a unique style, a unique perspective of the game. And there's at the end of the day, hockey leads to playing beer league, which is just adult pickup. Like hockey is fun if we can make it a sport that is professional and like continue after college. That like it's extra, it's awesome. But our goals right now is to get college done, make sure our academics are straight, and enjoy the atmosphere and playing a competitive hockey here. And if there's an option to go professional, which you can either go professional in the States or go overseas and go in Europe, then go for it. But if not, then a lot of us will go back into like either coaching or using our majors to better our sport. And so
That's nice. Well, I was gonna say, sorry. Can you hear me?
yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, yeah, it went blank. So I was like, oh.
No, it's fine.
Um, so what's the process like daily training?
Pretty much every day. It's just like any other sport here. We practice and do workouts twice a week. We are on the ice from Monday to Thursday, and then games Friday, Saturday, and like the Sunday is kind of like the recovery slash catch up on some schoolwork that's due at midnight on canvas kind of day. And so it's an everyday thing. We're at the rink at least 3 to 4 hours a day, whether it's film, playing, working out, or just hanging out with the guys. And so like whenever winter break was ending, we all came back January 1st and like pretty much had like a fun ping pong tournament and like went around town and showed a couple of the guys showed me Norman for first time and just showing where all the good spots are to study or eat or hang out. And so it's very interlocking with you have to be committed every single day. There's no like off days, as well as like it's just a part of our culture. We love hockey that much that we are willing to do that. And so
Okay. So what's it like like process or like balancing life and school, and then hockey?
the balance is unique for everyone. For me, it's when I'm at the rink, I'm hockey focused. It's nothing but hockey. It's kind of like my escape from reality. And then when I'm back here, doing schoolwork or working, which I kind of like, I'm very good at multitasking, so I got to have background noise. So it's always either hockey on the TV or listening to a podcast about hockey. Spin Chicklets is my favorite podcast, like of all time. Just listen to the hockey and the culture of that, as well as just like having a planned time to do things. You can't, like for me, I got to do things either early in the morning or late at night, and I got to do them. If I don't, then that's when there's a couple of hiccups or like you forget something that is very noticeable. And so, that, of course, with that, like the 4 years of junior hockey, as well as just like navigating what I'm doing now, I've found a pretty good balance with balancing it all. It's just, it takes a lot of effort and it takes a lot of coffee too. And so,
How much coffee do you think you drink?
I'm pretty relaxed, but like I know when finals and midterms were going, like I was drinking like 2 or 3 a day, and that was not healthy at all. But like normally I'm like a coffee every other day kind of guy, and then I also have my pre-workout for just like playing hockey. And so
So, where did you train in Dallas? You said you trained in Dallas.
I grew up in Odessa, and I trained. I grew up playing youth hockey in Dallas. So right now, home state, it's very complicated. My family's in Connecticut, because I have two other siblings that play. I have a brother and a sister that both play competitive hockey, trying to follow the same path, more paved than my path. And so right now that's home. I used to train in Minnesota during the summer at a place called North Shore Christian Academy. And it was like, it's really fun up there, but I'm here this summer purely just to train here, make sure our season gets going in the right direction. There's a lot of transitionings happening right now. And I've had a history of working in hockey ops. And so I'm trying my best to help out and make sure we have one of the best seasons next season, because next season's our 20th anniversary. And so like, it's pretty cool, remarkable, but at the same time, I'm like, I didn't even know OU hockey has been alive for 20 years. And a lot of people don't know that. So I'm here to try to express the story and show that hockey's been here for a while and it will be here for a long time after I'm done here. So
Yeah, I won't lie to you. I saw someone like retweet your tweet that you committed, and then I was OU has hockey.
oh
So
yeah.
I didn't, I was like, wow. And then more people were retweeting your tweet, so I was like, oh. So how much people do you think attend an OU game right now?
Say that again.
Like how much do you think attend a game?
Oh, attendance. So last season we had about so our rink holds about 1,500 people, but easily we probably surpass it with 2,250 when it's a OU UCO weekend. And the stands are always packed. We either have brats at the games or student clubs at the games or youth hockey. If there's a big youth hockey weekend with kids coming from Dallas, they all stay back and watch OU play whoever's playing, because they just like the logo sells itself in a sense when it comes to not only getting people into our games, but also like hockey is very unique, very fast paced. It's the way I describe it's football on ice pretty much, but there's barely any whistles. There's no stoppages. There's boards all over the place. So unless you shoot the puck 6 feet in the air over the glass, like everything's live. And so it's very cool to bring in new people and to see fans come in. And like, I have a funny fan story too. So do you know who Mr. OU is?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the guy's awesome, but this is like my first weekend, like first period of the game. We're sitting in the locker room and it's like we're just relaxing, we're processing. I think we're down 1-0. It was like the beginning of the game. And all of a sudden I hear the door slam open behind me. I'm like, okay, I think it's a player or coach. No, Mr. OU and all his get-ups just walks in our locker room. He's like, come on, boys, y'all are down right now. You got 2 more periods. Let's get this going. Like, blah, blah, blah. Like he was motivating us. I look behind me. I'm like, who is this guy? And like one of the guys mentioned it was Mr. OU. And I'm like, has he done this before? He's like, no, this is his first time. So like we have fans that are that passionate coming into our games with Mr. OU, as well as other people have done that before. Like it's very transparent with the sports culture here. If you're doing something right, people will tell you you're doing something right. If you're doing something wrong, people will be up in your face and like be passionate about it, because no one wants OU to fail. No one wants us at like working so hard to fail for simple mistakes. And so like it's really unique that that experience happened, as well as like there's multiple other topics and people I've encountered, and even walking on campus, like people, just a recognition of them either knowing we have a team or not knowing, but want to be involved. Because even though we have the majority of Texas, Oklahoma kids here, there's a lot of foreign exchange students that absolutely love hockey. And so like there's a unique culture here that like the diversity of just everyone coming here, and like just all we have to do is just publicize and advertise right with our sport. And it starts with people like me just being active on Twitter or on social media, and everything will follow suit. So
Yeah, I agree. Social media can grow like a big influence.
oh yeah.
So who do you have on the playoffs to win it this year?
My playoff bracket was broken after this last round. So I like bias. I had the Stars winning it, obviously, but unbiased, like just hockey mind thinking. I thought Florida was going to beat Tampa and try to get a cup, but clearly Tampa Bay swept them. So I'm thinking right now, just like all like alarms going off, I think Tampa Bay is going to go for a three-peat. And it's very unique how their team is structured too, and their coach. Like they have one of the smartest coaches I've ever seen and witnessed. And his backstory is kind of like our backstory. Like he was a lawyer. He did college, played like maybe a year of hockey in college, and played lacrosse pretty much for all of his 4 years, and then was a lawyer for like 8 or 10 years, and then just randomly jumped into hockey and just climbed the ranks, and now he's about to win his third Stanley Cup as a head coach. And so I really like that story, and there's a lot of other stories of those guys like having a weird like path. But yeah, I think Tampa Bay is going to take it, sadly, but like it's good for hockey, it's good for Tampa, it's good for Florida too, because hockey's there's booming as much as it is in Texas or Arizona or the non-hockey markets.
Yeah, see, I thought, Dallas Stars is good during the season, but once the playoffs come, I don't know why, they just tank.
Yeah, and plus playoffs, like it is 10 times more brutal. It is one of the hardest structures in sports, minus March Madness, to win and be consistent, because you got to win 7 games, but it's a lot of hitting, a lot of unique things happening, and just like playing the same team 7 times, you're going to see 7 different versions of them. And so it's about winning. Like there's different structures of how teams have like secretly got up, and then teams who like they did the right things in the regular season, they continue doing the right things to the playoffs. Like there's a lot of bumps in the roads and a lot of injuries play into that, because hockey's a 4-line, 2 goalie rotation kind of sport right now. And so like if one chain is loose, then it could snap the whole series. And so that's just how competitive and how hard it is to continue in playoffs and win a Stanley Cup, because it is one of the hardest things to do in sports.
Yeah, it's the process. And it's physical. It looks like every time I watch highlights, there's like a fight, and I'm like, whoa.
Oh yeah, and like it's actually very relaxed now. When I grew up watching playoffs and hockey, like the NHL finals and all that, like it's been a lot more rough, but they've done a great job on conditioning the players to hit the right way and make sure emotions doesn't take the most out of you. And if it does, then like you see some of the worst things, but it's punished accordingly. Back in the days, you used to be able to 2-hand guys. Like it was like pretty much as long as the ref didn't see it, you're a cop. And now there's so many cameras around now that if you do one wrong move, then you'll be suspended or dealt with and all that kind of stuff. And so it's relaxed a lot more, but the game's also a lot more fast than way back then. And so there's guys like hockey players used to skate with leather boots, and now they're carbon fiber, like they don't flex. You can skate a lot faster. And so it's kind of evened out with like how physical and how hard like the physicality is.
Yeah, how fast can you go? Like,
I think they've clocked Connor McDavid doing like just one lap around the rink at like 27, 28 miles an hour. And like, there's been records of going faster, like different velocities, all that kind of stuff. And so, and that's a straight away, and that's not him like transitioning or anything like that, because acceleration, that's key in hockey. As long as you have good acceleration and poise, like you can pretty much go anywhere in the rink. Like overall speed at the end of the day doesn't matter unless you know how to navigate that overall speed. And so it's very complicated, very fast, and you see it like every day in the NHL. You got to be a good skater to play now in the NHL, because if you're not, then you show that you can't. Like you clearly cannot skate. Like you got to be able to like do everything pretty much. So
what's your advice for someone who's trying to get into hockey?
my advice is to first of all get skates. You gotta learn how to skate. It's just like walking. And like it's simple as just like getting a hockey stick and like whacking a tennis ball. That was me growing up in Odessa. We didn't have like the trainings like mechanisms right. So like I used to shoot a tennis ball at a gated fence and stick handle on like gravel. Like that was my way of like just finding a way to like I did it because I loved it, as well as you need to have an influence of hockey if you want to play it or learn it. Like clearly, like coming to OU game is the most interactive thing you can do, or even just like on ESPN, you can watch all the hockey games on ESPN or even TNT now, and they have some um, very easy to understand commentators, not like hockey commentators, because like you get a normal hockey player talking, like they talk in a different language, it seems like. So they actually have some very relevant, very like even-minded people, including with ESPN, with how many sports they do to help people understand the game and say why this is an issue and that's not an issue. Like they describe penalties. And so just watching, being in stands and just trying to do it yourself. Like there's always resources here in Oklahoma as well as anywhere where there's a hockey rink. You just have to get into the rink and get going. And so
Nice. So what is your plans after?
my plans after here is so I want to major, like I said, I'm majoring in psychology, but I want to do either child clinical or sports psychology. And I've really been more geared into the sports side because of just the way mental health is right now. And like I've experienced a lot of things in my life that I think I can give a different perspective. And a lot of those athletes, and like I know athletes here deal with that struggle and that pressure of I have to do the best or I'm going to fail and life doesn't matter if I can't play my sport. And that's very unhealthy. And like for me, like most sports, including hockey is a game of mistakes. The way you can win is if you can fix your mistakes or counter mistakes. That's how you win hockey games. And a lot of other sports are just like that. And like even like really the perfective sports are like gymnastics and like figure skating, in my opinion. But even those, they're still like they're never perfect. Like you still got to do one thing right, or like something was different in the air. And so like, I think I can give a great perspective as well as just I'm a great listener of just understanding people where they're at and where they want to go and like finding different passions. Because like for me, I'm going to be involved in hockey no matter if I'm playing pros or if I'm coaching little mini mites. I love the sport. That's what we should be focused on, is the love of the games. And if we focus too much on the other side of it, then that's when things get dangerous. And obviously, like if you can make a living, that's amazing, but there's always what's next. And you got to be prepared for that, as well as just like have people around you telling you like, hey, it's all right if like you don't want to play, it's fine. And so yeah, I hope I can bring that kind of perspective when I'm done with my major, even before that. Like I talk to my guys all the time with hockey stuff, and we've dealt with our fair share of dark days. And so it's something I'm very passionate about and getting into that.
So what would you say to someone that's going through like a dark time?
Well, I wouldn't even say anything really. I would hear them out. Like a lot of the issues we deal with as athletes is we don't have a channel to express ourselves because we can't go to our coaches because if we say the wrong thing, then our coach will bench us. We don't go to our players because they think they're going to think different of us. And we don't go to our parents because then our parents like, you worked your whole life for this. Why are you going to like have this one issue tear it down? And so just having that channel of, and like in a sense an outsider, but someone who understands sports, someone who understands the lifestyle of an athlete, and just listening to what they have to say and countering it with just affection and empathy, and describing situations that you've heard that like this is how they navigated this, or have you ever thought about it this way, or like that's kind of the psychology, which is it seems a lot more simple than it is, but that's the perspective I have on it and the way I've navigated my life, and not like heard other people's stories dealing with psychology and psychologists and sports. That's kind of the perspective they take, is like not 90% of the issues is people just need a channel. They just need someone to talk to. That's all it is. So
I agree. Hold on. So if someone isn't like that's like what are some trainings that you do like outside of just working out?
well, outside of working out and like on ice stuff, I've done my fair share of like football workouts, like flipping tires, like the hammers on the tires, sprinting up hills. I'm grounded from long distance running because I actually love it, but I lose too much weight running too much, and so I either convert it to little sprints or like on campus, I roller skate to campus and back every day. And that's just purely to stay active. If I'm not like, since it's the off season right now, I'm training hard, but I don't need to overtrain because I'm at this stage where like, we're adult bodies now. We are not growing that much. So you got to preserve and be mindful of recovery. And so I love roller skating. I love playing other sports. I'm not good at them, but I love playing basketball, try soccer. We play a thing called Suey during either when we're working out or just like goofing off, which is just two touch keep up of a soccer ball. And so that's one of the kind of like other aspects of just training and just preparing that we do. And so
what kind of resources does Oklahoma give you?
We have very good resources with student clubs affairs as well as club sports. We go through the OU Fit, I believe it's called, and just it's a resource to get people involved, make people aware, as well as make sure we're doing the right things to make sure we're able to play, as well as the campus sees us in a good light. Because the one thing we want to bring to like campus is like this sport, it's amazing, but we don't want to bring like what you watch on Netflix. Like if you look on Netflix right now, it's Goon and a documentary about a team that was ran by the mafia, that all the way they won games is actually like punching like the living daylights out people, which that's a perspective of hockey that is not right and isn't right. Fighting in hockey is actually is an old school way of policing the game. And that's still very active in our sport. Like if a guy cheap shots one of our guys, he's going to answer with a little like jab or something. Obviously not gloves off, cage off. We can't do that. But there's different avenues and different ways to like to kind of get an eye for an eye in a sense. And that's kind of like making sure the game's fair, making sure we're playing it right. And if one guy steps out of line, we're going to make sure to get back in line. And so just trying to have those kind of stories, as well as just the beauty of hockey and the fan support. And it would be a dream to have it NCAA one day, and have a rink on campus or in Norman. And so, because you see an example of how ASU's done it. They were a team like us probably 5 or 6 years ago, and then they had one person donate so much money, and now not only that they have a campus like rink, now they have a Division I team. They're also hosting the Arizona Coyotes next season in a college hockey rink. Like that's unheard of, and like that's just like those are like fun fantasies. Is like, imagine if OU had a team like that. And of course, the biggest growing aspects in sports right now is women's hockey, and it would be amazing to have a women's program down here. And what's it called, in the USA National High School Tournament that USA Hockey runs every year. Team Texas won it this last season. A bunch of girls born and raised in Texas winning like against girls from Illinois and Minnesota and like Massachusetts. They won that. And so it's like having that avenue of like not only us grow as a sport, but also the women aspect, and knowing how passionate OU is about their women's program, like between softball, basketball, gymnastics. Like it's amazing, and it's very like motivating, because it's like, imagine like how like that's where we can go. And that's the perspective that student affairs and club sports gives us the resources for, is just the accessibility of that. And so, because like everything financially, the way we run our team and our operations, it's all ticket sales, merchandise, and we all pay a player fee about $3,000 on top of our tuition. And so like at a certain point, if we can get people to support us, get the community to support us, as well as just be the sport to watch that kind of is athletics, but it's not athletics. We're our own thing. We're unique. And so getting people into that perspective and like watch this team grow into some like ASU, like it would be amazing. So
where do y'all personally play right now?
Last season we played at the Blazers Ice Center. That's in North Moore, Oklahoma. Next season we'll be playing games in Edmond, Oklahoma, at Arctic Edge Ice. So that rink hosts us, UCO, and then OSU has a team that just came into a different division of our league last season. So we're actually going to be playing them in a showcase game in Tulsa, where the Tulsa Oilers, the ECHL team, plays, just to be more public and be like, hey, this is hockey. Like this is what happens when you can mix college sports with ice hockey. And it's done very well for us the last 20 years as OU. And it's just about like using what we got with social media and engaging on campus and just spreading the word more, because like we only have, 30 guys plus people helping us out that spread that message. Now, if you can teeter-totter it with people or like big images or like people in different sports, like clearly the talks will grow and the avenues of people knowing what hockey is or wanting to see hockey, like that will grow too. And so
y'all not like do y'all have like the Big 12 league? You know,
we play in a league called WCHL, and that's Western Conference Hockey League. So that league is kind of like a Southern West league, and so we do play games against Arkansas and Alabama, but also we play games against UCO, Utah University, Colorado State, Colorado Boulder, Arizona State, and there's one more I'm forgetting, GCU. That's in Arizona as well. And so we play those kind of teams. Next season we'll play UNLV, which is a team out of Las Vegas, as well as a couple other teams like around in the mix. And we're actually hosting a tournament in January. We'll be playing Oregon, which is new to ACHA D1, which is going to look neat because I'm already telling our staff, I'm like, we should wear our bright reds and they wear their bright greens and see the Christmas game go on, because I think that just the jersey combinations of all of it would look amazing. And so,
okay, how'd y'all do last season?
Last season was a hiccup season, and obviously coming out of COVID, there was a lot of uncertainties and a lot of player, when you play hockey, you play every season, you play consistently. Like if there's a bad game, you know how to fix it because you have that like short-term memory of, oh, that's what happened. I'll learn from that. Well, a year without hockey affected a lot of our guys, as well as like I came in mid-semester and like, every little thing that could have went wrong. And that's perspective we have on it. And like we did hit rock bottom, I believe, this last season, but it doesn't mean we're a bad team or we're not able to. It's just how competitive this league is. Like you'd make one little mistake and they take advantage of it. And like we've been in the other side of the driver's seat of winning our conference and almost winning nationals and being very like one of the hardest teams to play against. And we can easily go to that. It's a matter of discipline, getting the right guys in the room to buy into the right message and the game that's being played. We had a lot of the blame game going on last season, which like obviously when you're losing, like you got to find an answer. And with last season, we couldn't really find an answer with like what structure we had in place. So now coming to this next season with things being more player ran and player led, like we need that kind of thing from the inside out. We can have a coach tell us what to do or people tell us what to do. But if us ourselves don't have that motive to be direct and be disciplined and always consistent with what we say and what we do, like when negative things come our way, like we're not going to react the right way. And that's kind of what's happened last season. And so next season is going to be a lot different. It's going to be almost the same group of guys because they're all passionate about making next season one of our best seasons ever, on the ice and off the ice. And so we're very excited for next season. It's going to be very exciting. So.
All right, to follow up, so what's your expectations for next season?
Our expectations is just to play our hockey. So we have banners in our rink, and it's like big letters. It's Boomer Sooner Hockey, and we always like when you yell Boomer, you hear the Sooner. Like we need to like play our physicality style of a game so you can hear that boom. Like that's kind of like why we use that saying, and pretty unique because like obviously like it's connecting with the athletic culture here, and just like we need to be more noticeable on the ice and off the ice, and that leads with little things, doing the little things right, things that like a normal hockey fan won't see but guys on the bench see. Little things that can what's it called, tilt the boat in our way. And like hockey's, like I said, very fast, very emotionally balanced. If we can control the emotions in that and really have a grip of like we control this game, that's how we're going to be successful next season. And so that's one of the ways it's going to go next season, hopefully. And like hopefully people can learn our culture of how we run hockey and how hockey's supposed to be played and all that. So because like I said, people think when they hear hockey there's just a bunch of fights, and hockey's a lot more unique and a lot more creative than that. And so
yeah, that's what comes to my mind is fighting, and then the Stanley Cups. Those are the two things that initially come to my mind.
exactly. Yeah. And we want to change that. We want to educate people on that. Like you ask any of us, like I'm on social media all the time, like just a simple hockey question here or there, like not like all of us know the answer because we played hockey our whole lives and we know why there's fighting and why there's not. And like us as players, we do get excited when we see a fight. We love like it just gets your juices flowing. But like there's also that perspective of like, okay, fighting isn't everything in hockey. And like that's just the way like we need to start like helping people understand that. And it takes just coming to a game and like watching the actual playoffs on NHL on ESPN and like learning from people. Just that's how it works. And so
all right, so it's about to end. What's a message you want to leave everyone?
Message I want to leave everyone is like obviously follow us. We're on all social media platforms as a program on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. It's usually at OU Hockey or OU Sooners Hockey. And our most important thing that we need is just come and support us. Like come buy merchandise, come buy season tickets if you want to come all season.